Carsten Brzeski is global head of macro research and also chief economist at ING Germany. Carsten, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. Just first of all, could I get your take on what your prediction is for Monday? Do you think that the Prime Minister is likely to lose this vote of confidence if it goes ahead, and if he loses it, what next?
Yeah, it currently base case is that he's going to lose it, because don't forget, this is a vote, not a no confidence vote, but he has a confidence vote, which means he needs really an absolute majority in parliament, and this currently looks very unlikely. Well, next steps then, you heard it in the report before, is indeed for President Macron to try to find a new prime minister, but probably this means, same issues, same problems, only a few months later, and then the other alternative would be to have new elections.
Why can't successive prime ministers get budget reforms through Parliament?
Because there currently is no majority in France that agrees and supports reforms. There is no majority for pension reforms. There is no majority for austerity measures. There is no majority for cutting a government expenditure which is close to 60% of GDP. Because I think France, as in so many other Western European countries, thinks that the current situation can just simply continue.
But why is France in such debt? Why are the public finances so unsustainable?
Well, it's to some extent due to fiscal stimulus over the last couple of years. The French government was pretty quick in reacting to the pandemic with fiscal stimulus, also support in the energy crisis. And then we also had fiscal stimulus, fiscal support in order to boost growth, but also to attract investments to France. So these are factors which also led to the fact that the French economy has been doing, in terms of GDP growth, pretty well over the last couple of years. But at the same time, any government forgot that, at the same time, debt is increasing. So they forgot that they also need to put on the brakes at some point in time and start austerity measures. And this is how we got to the current situation.
Now, there has been some talk of Paris needing to go to the International Monetary Fund as the lender of last resort if reforms aren't enacted and borrowing is reduced. I mean, could it possibly come to that? That seems quite far-fetched. I mean, surely France still can access the public markets.
Well, indeed, this is very far-fetched. Okay, we all learned never rule out anything, but look at the current level of interest rates in France. So the French government pays some 3.6% on its debt. That is, of course, much more than in the past, but this is far away from interest rate levels that we had during the sovereign debt crisis. So a sovereign debt crisis is not at stake right now. What we're witnessing here is really currently a domestic, political, but then also economic crisis, because being stuck in this political instability, being stuck in this kind of paralysis, not to do reforms, means that France will also stop being a growth engine for the European economy. And if France stutters, the German economy stutters, well, we all know what this means. No good news for the European economy.
So they're not going to be heading to Washington to the IMF with their cap in hand anytime soon, but could there be a role to play for the European Central Bank and France's neighbours to intervene at all?
Well, we have a playbook of how these things work. So first of all, it's now really up to the French government, whoever sits in the government, to adhere to the European fiscal rules and to start some kind of austerity measures. If this is not happening, the European Central Bank and also the neighbors will not help. So this means help, and we know this from the Euro crisis. So help will always come with conditions. If we were to see some kind of financial market turmoil, then indeed the European Central Bank has instruments that it could use to support France, to support and to buy French government bonds. But there will always be conditions attached to any kind of support, be it coming from the ECB or from France's neighbors.
Good. Yeah, and we're not there yet. Carsten, thank you very much indeed for that. That's Carsten Brzeski, Global Head of Macro Research and Chief Economist at ING Germany.